Hey, heroes, villains, and those who might be considered both. Welcome to the first episode of My Hero Academia Vigilantes. This is the Amateur Otaku podcast. We have been reviewing every chapter of My Hero Academia, the anime and the manga, as well as various other animes and mangas in the past, including Attack on Titan, which you and Brandon covered. Joining me, of course, is Isaac, the Mad Doc. I'm All Mike, as you can tell by our screen names here. Isaac, we've been covering My Hero Academia's manga all summer, pretty much, all year long. This is the first time you've kind of stepped into My Hero Vigilantes. And this is, for those who don't know, is a prequel, a spinoff to My Hero Academia. So it takes place before the events of season one, My Hero Academia, if you're keeping track here. What were your thoughts on this chapter, Isaac? This was chapter one, or as it's being referred to, episode one. I'm here.
Like we said off air before I started reading it, I was just confused at why haven't they done an anime adaptation of this? Considering considering how popular the IP is, I start reading it and I ask again, why haven't they made an anime spin-off of it?
Yeah, it's a really interesting idea. We're also going to be covering, I guess, technically like chapter 0. It's just All Might and Eraserhead giving us a breakdown of what a vigilante is. So in the world of My Hero Academia, vigilantes were like the first heroes, in a sense, right? Hero was not always a profession. It was very reminiscent of what we're used to. The Marvel and DC Comics superheroes are all vigilantes. You know, as great as Superman is, he is a vigilante. And so the world and lore of My Hero Academia is so interesting because, yes, heroes are a profession that people strive to become, and they're doing it within the legal system and all that stuff. But there's also this other side to it, right? What happens when a character or a person doesn't get their hero license, but they still are compelled to become a hero? That makes them a vigilante, which technically makes them a villain in this world. And I just think that's a really interesting idea. And you're right. Like, why wasn't this turned into a spinoff anime, right? Like, you think Studio Bones would milk this for all it's worth, have this air in the summer, have My Hero air in the winter. You have Hero Academia going year round, keeping the studio busy, keeping the fans engaged. It's kind of crazy how nothing's really come of this series, though it is an awesome, awesome manga series.
I mean, it's like I wouldn't considering it cost money to produce episodes, but it's like you said, it's almost it's it's not free money on the table, but it's a lot of money on the table that it don't even touch, arguably, because it just show a different light of the world that I believe people would enjoy watching if they had the chance to do so.
Yeah. So our main character, Koichi, he is a nice guy, right? He's a guy, a kid who's doing everything he can. He wanted to become a hero. Things didn't really pan out for him. He's older than Izuku. I'd say he's probably like what, 20, 21, something like that. Closer in age with Tomura Shigaraki than Izuku Midoriya. And again, this world is interesting because we have characters like Knuckle Duster, who is a vigilante, and he's kind of frowned upon by hero society because he's not doing it legally, right? Their intentions are good, their methods are bad. And they're not going out of their way to like kill people or anything like that. But I just think it's interesting how the world of My Hero Academia is set up in such a unique manner that characters like Knuckle Duster would be a hero in any other franchise, right? He's very similar, reminiscent to like a Wildcat or a Batman type of character. But that's not how the world of My Hero works. And so we have other characters like Pop Step, who's a very similar. What were your thoughts on these three new characters, like our main protagonists of the series? They're definitely not Izuku, Ochako, and Bakugo. I know that much.
Yeah, how should I put it? Oh, sorry about that. When I read them, the female character, when they introduced her, and I'm like, oh, Petty Shot. I'm just really.
Yep, it's that kind of manga series.
I mean,
I will say Pop Step gets a lot more interesting as the series goes on. Don't worry.
I'm not. And of course it was Vinetta that said that part. But you see him in a cameo. But again, I'm not arguing I'm not disqualifying her as a character, but just them having to point that out and just really.
Yeah, like I mean, it is a part of her character. Like even in because you're talking about basically chapter 0. In chapter 1, they also make reference of her appearance, and that's very intentional for what she wants to do, the attention she wants to get. I do like though in chapter 0, you mentioned the cameo by Mineta and the rest of Class A. I like how the reason they're not in this story is that Eraserhead's basically like, do not engage with vigilantes ever. And that is the entire reason they do not appear in this story. Which is just
with exception,
hilarious.
With exception for cameos.
Yep, for cameos, which is always fun because All Might makes an appearance in chapter 1, which I think is really cool. Because again, since we are in prequel territory, I'm pretty sure when the manga started, All Might already lost his quirk in My Hero Academia. So it was just a nice callback to see All Might still being active at this point in the story. And seeing him from, like, we see him from Izuku's perspective, and we see him interact with Izuku, but it's like that kind of watching from afar is something we haven't had with All Might in a while, and seeing how just normal society perceives him. Or even how there's some low-level thugs that the heroes miss or don't get a chance to deal with. That's where the vigilantes step in. And I just think that's a really interesting idea. And it's countless possibilities, honestly. Like having street-level heroes in vigilantes. Like we were talking about My Hero Academia in chapter 330. We're not going to spoil the events of the My Hero manga if you're not reading that, but there was a character that appeared in our last discussion, and we were talking about how incredibly powerful said character was. It's kind of nice to have like street level heroes or vigilantes in this world, like again Batman, Daredevil, something a little lower stakes as opposed to All for One, Shigaraki, Meta Liberation, all that stuff, you know?
Yeah. And it's sort of like I lost my thing in train of thought here, but yeah, it's sort of like how you watching a superhero movie and then I need just a silly comedy right now, or you get what I mean.
For sure. So I want your opinion on the main characters again, because we have Koichi, who is our main protagonist of this story. His quirk is pretty much like slide and go in My Hero Academia. He has to put 3 points on the ground. And he can slide up walls, he can slide on the ground, but he barely goes faster than a 1-speed bike. Which, again, contrasts Izuku Midoriya having the power of All Might, which is just unbelievably funny to me. Pop Step also has the quirk where she basically jumps really high. You know, these aren't Todoroki, Bakugo type quirks. They have to work with what they've been given. And then you have Knuckle Duster, who is just a brawler. No quirk has been mentioned for Knuckle Duster in the first chapter here. Um, what do you think of the main cast so far that you've seen so far? I guess because again we mentioned Pop Step and kind of how they've drawn her or had characters make reference to her. But as a character like Koichi and Knuckle Duster, what were your thoughts on them so far?
They are certainly colorful characters, that's for certain.
Mm-hmm.
And and they do fit in the My Hero Academia universe, I would argue.
Yeah, for sure. So there was this one scene that I think was really, really cool. It was in page 48. You have Knuckle Duster standing above shriveled up Koichi, which is very reminiscent to All Might and Deku. Nice little homage there in both chapter ones of My Hero Academia and MHA Vigilantes. But we see towards the end of this chapter, again, this was kind of a lot of setting up the world, the characters, and the conflicts that's going to be coming up with throughout the rest of the story. We see these vials of in this briefcase that's being given to one of the thugs that our vigilantes kind of brushed up against. What do you think is in that suitcase?
Honestly, I have no idea, considering it can be kinda everything, knowing this world and all.
I
I
already know
mean,
what's in the suitcase. It's going to be interesting to see your reaction to what's going on
yeah.
there.
For once, you are the one that's in the knowledge prior, and I'm going in blind. This is
I know,
weird.
right? It's such a role reversal because I'm setting you up and hearing your reaction. I'm just sitting here like, yeah, okay. You're going to see what's coming up. I'm not beginning this time. It's
Which is
hilarious.
which is just weird, especially considering I this was the manga that I introduced you to the medium, which makes it even funnier.
And I'm not that far ahead of you. I'm only like on chapter 6, honestly. So we're gonna meet each other very, very soon. But I am reveling in the chance to be the one who knows everything while you have questions.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, guys, if you haven't checked out MHA Vigilantes, it is on Viz, $2 a month. Just put it down. You can read the first couple chapters for free, just to get a feel for it if you enjoy it. I'm really interested to see where they go from here. Again, I'm ahead of you, so I have a better idea than you. But I like the kind of natural introduction to the characters. Pop Step, nice guy, which is Koichi's vigilante name, and Knuckle Duster all kind of meet very organically. One thing about My Hero Academia, it's very simple. Whereas in My Hero Academia, Deku meets all of these people at his Hero Academia, at the Hero Academy of UA High School. So it's kind of interesting how here that's not the setup or the premise. We have to try and figure out how to weave these characters into the story organically and how to make them a team or enemies, however they want to go about it, making sure that they bounce off each other well, make sure the quirks are compatible, because you don't need Deku's quirks to be compatible with Minetta's quirk. They just go to school together. They're not trying to be a hero or vigilante team. So, in a sense, this manga kind of had it a little bit harder to be set in the world of My Hero Academia, to build on those ideas and themes that were already introduced in the story of My Hero proper, but still making sure it's its own thing and still able to introduce new concepts and ideas on its own merit. That's, you know, really cool to me. And I just want to know, what are your expectations? What are you looking for out of Vigilantes? You've read the first chapter, well, 1.5 chapters. Is there anything you want to see in the series? I know you kind of already have an idea of what might be coming up later down the line, But now that
Well,
they've introduced the concept of vigilantes, what are you looking
a
for?
more grounded story,
Mm-hmm.
especially considering where the the main manga is right now. It could be nice to see some more grounded story. It's sort of like, well, reading a Superman comic and going to a Batman comic to some extent.
Yeah, or like a Justice League comic down to a Nightwing comic.
Kinda.
Yeah. It'll be more grounded, at least at the start, because My Hero was also kind of really grounded in its beginning, in its infancy. And then it kind of
But
went on an entirely new level. And if you watch the last season of My Hero Academia, you have an idea of where that series is headed. But yeah, a more grounded story is definitely something that I think fits. And that's what, again, though, that's what makes My Hero Academia one of my favorite comic book worlds, honestly, because it's got the weird, crazy, wacky that I love from DC Comics, but it's also got the groundedness that you come to expect from Marvel Comics, especially with characters in Vigilantes. Even heroes in the main story, like Hawks or Eraserhead, those are the characters that, especially with you and me, Isaac, those are the ones that stick out the most. The kind of more grounded, somewhat tortured heroes in My Hero Academia. And if that's the majority of what we're getting in Vigilantes, I can't wait to see it.
yeah, it should be interesting
Did you
following
have
it
any
all.
other thoughts or anything you wanted to cover for this first chapter of Vigilantes?
No, there isn't much to talk about more than it's they are doing a hell of a introduction, so to speak.
Yeah. We're gonna do proper chapter reviews. This was just like, again, this chapter was very much an introduction to the world. It's gonna The next review is gonna be a little more similar to our My Hero reviews, where we kind of break down what's going on in the chapter itself. But again, this first one was a lot of setup, and it was a long one. This was 49 pages, Isaac. 49.
Yeah,
Just
it was a doozy, and
it's
judging by it's a long one.
it's a
Yeah,
long
let's just
one.
leave it at that.
It's a long one, and then we already saw what's happening with the next chapter. That one's going to be almost just as long, so it makes sense. My Hero Academia is a weekly series. My Hero Vigilantes is a monthly series, I believe. So that's why it's way longer. But yeah, we're gonna be doing these every week. So if you guys have any questions, comments, let us know in the comment section down below regarding MHA Vigilantes. And if you haven't checked it out, read it along with us and join the discussions weekly. Was there anything we need to plug? I know, again, we did My Hero Academia chapter 330. If you guys want to check that out, it's on the channel, and we're doing My Hero Academia every week as well. We're also covering My Hero Academia World Heroes Mission. That should be coming out the week you're hearing this. The movie should be out that Friday. So make sure you guys check out the movie if you can. We're going to be reviewing it. We've got some more surprises coming as well regarding My Hero Academia. Was there anything else you wanted to cover or plug before we wrap this one up, Isaac?
Well, we're doing the Fena Pirate Princess, but with a twist. We are going to talk about with Robin Moera about it all, considering he is the English voice actor of for the male lead role in that movie.
Yeah, so exciting. Rob is such a great talent, and it's so awesome to be able to cover that with him. He brings so much to the table with voice acting and just his knowledge of the production. So I'm sure that's going to be a great conversation with him and Isaac. You can find that here on the Amateur Otaku podcast. Make sure you subscribe to the Amateur Otaku on YouTube and wherever you hear podcasts, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts. Make sure you keep track of everything on the Amateur Otaku. Also, check out Geekly Goods. Our friend Leo Rydell couldn't make this episode, but he is planning on doing some Vigilantes and My Hero with us. So check out Geekly Goods. Follow Leo at Leo_Rydell on social media. And of course, again, youtube.com/geeklygoods. You can find me at Novice Cinephile on Twitter and YouTube, covering Foodie Pootie on my YouTube channel, and always here talking My Hero Academia with Isak. Brandon, other host of the Amateur Otaku podcast, you can find him at the Scarlet Fan 52. And we just reviewed Paprika, which is a fantastic anime movie. Can't help but plug that one. It was a great discussion the three of us had. And of course, Isak, the Emblem Maniac. You can find him at Emblem Maniac over on social media, Twitter. Also writing for wabaменtertainment.com. He's got some reviews and podcast episodes will be posted there as well. We catch you guys next time for more My Hero Academia Vigilantes, episode 2. You know, this isn't a manga about the heroes, but I feel like the Vigilantes will still be able to go beyond. So we're going to sign off with a plus ultra. Peace.
Peace.